Welcome back to the BSW podcast. Brian Seeley, Director of Marketing here at BSW, with Nigel Goodridge. Hey, Nigel. And we got from sales today joining us is Bob Randolph.
Hello.
That's the man right there. And our special guest, manufacturer special guest, Mike McGee, Western Sales Manager for Sling Studio.
Glad to be here, guys.
There he is.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We'll just do a quick little read here from our sponsor, Sling Studio. Need to add video to your podcast or broadcast? Multi-camera live streaming made easy with the world's first portable wireless broadcasting platform. That's Sling Studio. Rode microphones, podcast like a pro, and elevate your content with the Rodecaster Pro podcast console, which I'm sitting at. And Almond Roca, keeping broadcasters happy since 1973. You can get Almond Roca in every BSW order from the warehouse. And Bob, everybody loves Almond Roca, don't they?
Oh man, I eat about 3 of them a day.
Do you really?
Yeah,
that's habit forming.
I'm going by the front desk, picking them up all the time.
Well, because Nigel's got a basket of them by his desk, and I want to say the same 12 Almond Roca have been in that since he started, because we're burnt out upstairs on it.
Well, and I think the janitors eat them too.
Where's the basket for the guests on the podcast?
Well,
that makes good pod.
Well, that's why we have pop screens, because you'll get shredded almond all over the microphone, and we don't want any of that. But
got it.
Before we jump into the meat of this thing, we have to do the.
What would you say you do here?
Hi, Bob. It's Bob.
Did you like that?
That was slick.
That's for Bob. So Bob Randolph. What would you say you do here, Bob?
Depends on who you ask. We'll start with me. I'm supposed to sell stuff for the boss. Now, if you ask the boss, the other day he told me I'm building relationships.
Yeah, of course.
And that's like the key word that's in the front of my head these days. Building and maintaining relationships.
Well, yeah. So I mean, we want to reach out and be nice and hug them over the phone and let them know that we need them and they need us, and and you've got what they need.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
But
it's amazing sometimes how every customer's needs are different. Some know exactly what they want, and they're going to give you the part numbers, and boom, that's as easy as can be. Others call needing help with their mixer boards or their podcasting gear. I got to step in and help wherever I can.
Well, and how long have you been with BSW?
Almost 8 years.
Has it been that long?
Over.
Because I think, did you come right after me or right before me?
Right before you.
Oh, dear God. That was a long time ago. Well, and, thanks for joining us here and interjecting. And we always like to have a salesperson on to kind of give us the forefront of what's happening. But, I really want to talk to Mike McGee here of Sling Studio. So what would you say you do here?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
At Sling Studio, I've put together a portable, easy-to-use video production hub that'll allow you to wirelessly record and stream up to 10 devices in a portable and easy-to-use platform. You can connect cameras to it, GoPros, drones, video cameras, what have you. What we're shooting here with today are smartphones, so it'll support any iOS or Android device that's about 3 years old or newer. What we're trying to do is get professional production value to an easy-to-use streaming and recording platform. So first, we try to educate people as to, you want people to watch your live streaming or recorded event, please use more than one device.
Correct.
Because that's the way to alienate and anger customers out there. So with that said, we've got a platform here that, again, it's wireless. It's relatively inexpensive for video production. You can use smartphones. You can use iPhone or iPod touches to shoot with, and it's really easy to manipulate and run your production from an iPad or a MacBook.
Yeah,
Pro.
so essentially it's any device that has Wi-Fi and a camera.
Correct.
That you can run. So I mean, we quickly set up here, 4 phones, and I think we've got an iPod. So we've got Apple devices, we've got Android devices. They sync up to the Sling Hub, which is the main part that we use. Correct.
Right, and the hub basically has 2 Wi-Fi routers in it, and you do not need to be connected to the internet to have this thing work. So you can be in the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Perfect.
It creates its own peer-to-peer connection to the devices, and you can record it to a hard drive or an SD card and stream later or distribute later, however you'd like to do.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's pretty easy to set up. I mean, we were you just got to download the app on your phone. Like I just put it on my phone before we came, and I know, Bob, when you guys came up to do your training, it's literally connect.
Yep. We sell this into a lot of schools, and one of the first questions they ask is, how much does the software cost, or how much does do the apps cost? And they're like, nope, we're a hardware company. The apps are free. The console app is used on an iPad or a MacBook that you run the production with, and that's free. And the capture app are used on the smartphones or the iPod Touches to take the video, and those are free too.
Yeah, and so we do a lot of podcasting. We do actually a ton of podcasting. So where do you see Sling fitting in with, say the Podcaster 2.0, the guy that's away from the USB mics and he's got himself his first real microphone, and so where does Sling fit in with all those people?
So Sling fits in really well because a lot of podcasters, and even in the early days when radio was starting to stream, learned the hard way that a single GoPro in the corner of your studio does not bring the thousands of eyeballs to your YouTube channel that you thought it would. It's like watching a robbery at a convenience store at 2 a.m. because it's just one perspective that never changes. So
in high def, of course.
In 720 to 1080p. But no, you've got to engage the audience. So you've got to switch your camera angle at least once every 20 or 30 seconds to engage them. What Sling Studio does and brings to the party is it's a fraction of the price of video mixing boards. You don't need to be a major in video to run it. And for the podcaster, we've added auto switching mode to it. So you can set your production up on an iPad before your show starts, and your on-air talent / engineer doesn't need to run 2 boards at one time while interviewing someone.
Yeah, in video, I mean, you can chime in, Bob. I mean, I'm getting a lot more customers hitting us up for video solutions too.
Oh, yeah.
On almost everything. It just seems like from podcasting to regular radio guys, they want to get video.
It's the wave of the future.
It's some future.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and Nigel, who learned this about 30 seconds ago, he's over there doing the video switching for us here.
Yeah, it's just you just use your finger and drag
and drop. Yeah, I mean it's
Yep. Easy to use and relatively inexpensive. This production here is being run with a $1,000 Sling Studio hub and the hardware we already owned. That's it. If you want to integrate fuller, bigger cameras into your workflow, an SLR, a camcorder, anything with an HDMI output on it, including drones, can be hooked up to a device called a camera link, and that'll get you a little more distance. So if you're shooting a high school football game, for instance, you can put a camera at each end zone, and those camera links will transmit an image up to 300 feet away from the hub.
That's solid.
So
you got a camera link over that
we have a camera link right here. So this is what the box looks like. It's got 2 inputs on the back. One is an HDMI micro input for the HDMI signal. The other is a USB port to charge the internal battery. That sits on a hot shoe on top of a camera, and away you go. Or you can actually use this if you want a computer to be part of your workflow. If you had a guest speaker coming in with a PowerPoint, they can run this off a laptop and feed that into your workflow very, very easily.
I want to see that duct tape to a drone.
Good question.
Yeah, I want to see that happening, and then you can just
the key with that is you get your drone with the HDMI on the controller, and then you're good to go.
Oh,
you'll get a lot more than 300.
Write that down, Nigel. We're doing that.
Yeah.
That's going to be our 4th camera shot.
And then go dive bomb your neighbor's house.
Oh yeah, exactly. Just we'll sprinkle BSW almond roca all over the neighborhood.
So do you have like an actual thing for a drone right now?
There's nothing specific needed. We have all the hardware to work with a drone. If you have a drone, you just have to have a controller. And I know as the 100 or 800 pound gorilla in that industry, DJI has an adapter for their controllers with an HDMI port on the back. I think it's about a $100 option. That's all that's needed, and that gets the workflow out.
We were doing drones for a minute because we had radio guys that wanted to check their towers, and without hiring someone to climb up, so they would just fly the thing up there. But
then it's kind of gone.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. I think we sold a couple of them, and they said, "Well, this was fun."
Right.
And then the engineer just took it home and was dive bombing his neighbors.
Well, right, and with Sling Studio is a couple things to remember. It will allow you to stream live and get you multi-camera streaming options during the production. You can add your own graphics. It's got sports scoreboards incorporated in it. You've got chroma key if you want to do green screen.
That's big.
motion graphics, import your own company or podcast or broadcast logo or bug in it, split screen options. There's a lot there, but it's also a small and easy to use package. So if you're doing something where you're going to do a podcast at an esports event or a trade show, this is light enough and portable enough to put in a backpack with cameras and take out to your remote site for production.
Yeah, that's huge. And it looks like you guys do everybody. You can stream to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, a custom RTMP. You guys can do all that.
All of that, and it records too. So we're
yeah, very good.
House of Worship is a big use for us now. So are K through 12 schools. Elementary schools are not streaming images of kids online, but they still use this a lot for on-campus morning announcements, and that's a record process. They can record it and distribute it directly to the parents by recording to an SD card or external USB drive.
And it's so you run it all off an iPad. It's iOS, correct?
Yes, we use an iPad because mainly of the processor. We know what processor Apple puts in an iPad, so it can handle video workflow. That's for just running the production, so either an iPad or a MacBook. For capturing, any Android or iOS phone will work for capture.
Yeah, and there's one thing we should probably talk about, which we ran into for about an hour before we did this, and I'll let you elaborate on it. But it's your SD card.
Right. So don't fall prey to what Brian and I did. And to be fair to us, we probably have 5-year-old SD cards here we haven't updated.
That's not fair.
From 97.
Right. Or we went to Best Buy and saw that 32 gig $16 card and said, I'm getting it. That is fine for still picture production. For video, you need a fast write speed. And since we are using more than one camera, you've got to multiply that by 2, or in this case 4. We've got 4 cameras. So if you use an SD card, make sure it's at least a class 10, and you can have a write speed of 200 megabits per second or higher. If you're using an external hard drive, go B&B.
Yeah,
that
no
has
problem.
An extremely
The
fast
faster,
write
the
speed.
better.
Which is what we should do.
Right. All you need for to use an external hard drive with a Sling Studio hub is there's an optional USB-C pigtail for it that'll piggyback standard USB ports off it, and has an Ethernet connector for wired internet access. So
and I think it's
really easily.
Yeah, and it's important. So I mean, what we're using here today, I mean, we've kind of bundled this together for the podcaster to make it easy. There's a Sling Studio BSW package, and you can go online at bswusa.com to check it out, which includes the Rodecaster Pro console, the Sling hub, the cables took it all together, and it's all in one package, and you're able to kind of go. And that's what we're using here today, including the mounts for our phones and everything. So, we're not using anything that's not in that kit, besides the awesome microphones.
And obviously, got to buy your own phone.
Yeah, an iPad not included. Yeah. You got to say that stuff because you show the iPad in that picture.
Right.
Someone hits, and they don't get their iPad.
And guys, don't go nuts on an iPad. If it's 3 years old or newer, you can use it. It can be a mini. I use the $299 9.7 inch. The iPad is not broadcasting this signal. It's not storing the data on board. You're just using it as a monitor and to work with the workflow on it. So you don't need to spend a ton of money on an iPad.
So, and a large portion of what we do is also radio. Where do you see Sling fitting in for the traditional radio broadcaster? I know the answer, but I just wanted you to say it.
Real similar to a podcast application. Whenever you want to expand your audience and do so with a video interaction, this is a system that your current staff can use extremely quickly and easily. We've got middle schoolers, not that Nigel's in middle school, but just like Nigel that learn a workflow in 5 minutes. It can run a production pretty quickly. It's got a lot of advanced features if you want to dive into chroma key and instant replay for sports applications, coaching and referee review. There's a lot of in-depth use there, but you don't need to be a video expert to run this production. Very, very easily used.
Yeah.
We probably should have took pictures of this before we actually started the show.
Well, here's the thing. We can take pictures after and no one will know.
Exactly. That'll work great.
No one is going to, well, thanks for, now everyone's going to know.
Well, and I'd also tell radio stations this, that everybody and their uncle is streaming now. At NAB.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I had not one, not two, but 5 separate funeral homes come by telling me they use this product right now. It's not just weddings, that they still have people at funerals that can't attend that still want to be part of the event.
I'm holding back every joke that I just thought of.
Absolutely. The coffin cam was the first thing that came to mind when I was exactly. Those new GoPros are small
No
for
offense,
a reason.
that business is dead.
But no, I guess the takeaway point is that streaming is just expanding and will keep expanding. So right now it's about production value and how do you keep people not only onto what you're doing, but engaged and staying with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And to use more than one camera and add some graphics and some neat transitions and things like that are definitely ways to do that.
Yeah, and it took us 10 minutes, I think, from the time you walked in and we had everything hooked up, minus the SD thing, we were ready to go.
Right. And we're deliberately shooting this on smartphones because we want to show everybody you don't need to invest in a $2,000 camera. You certainly can, and if you do, we have the device that'll connect it, but it is not necessary. And everybody pretty much has a smartphone. If you are a small market station or a small podcaster and you want an additional camera for production, don't forget about an iPod Touch. It's $199. A free app is all you need to engage it into your workflow, and you've got a real simple two-camera system. But for crying out loud, make sure you get a good tripod. Don't try and handhold this. It's not. It won't look good.
Yeah, and your arm will get tired. But Bob, you guys trained on this today, just before the podcast, and I mean, what did you think? I mean, because we've talked about it and we've sort of done our thing with it internally, but this is the first time you've had your hands on it, right?
Yes, that's right. This is the first I've seen of it. Pretty slick. I like the way all the cameras come together and your mixer board all comes together with it. Did you say it has bug editing capability? You can put in labels.
It's got onboard graphics, so we have real simple sports scoreboard applications in it. You can create your own custom scoreboard. So if your local high school that you're filming for has a mascot logo, they can incorporate in that. And same with graphics. Any corporate graphics that you want to import, you can do right onto an SD card and have it be part of your workflow.
And that's
easily.
a big selling point in something like this. It's a channel for monetization for a radio station. Can't they sell that space and advertise their sponsors?
Absolutely. And then if you get enough eyeballs, I'm sure Google will write you a check from the YouTube channel as well if you get your views up there. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of users that like to engage with it in that application.
Mm-hmm. You can get your Google money, Nigel.
There you go.
I'm still waiting on that Google check for BSW.
Right? We're still waiting, and we will always be here for it.
It's fine. We just invested anyway. Yeah. But I mean, the Sling stuff. We have a customer of ours who does video stuff, and when we first started talking about our relationship with BSW and Sling, and I bounced a lot of stuff off of him, and I just said, "Oh yeah, have you guys heard of the Sling? Oh yeah, I've been following them forever. I'm surprised you're not doing it." That was the first thing we got. And I went, well, that's all I needed to know to do it. So you can definitely check out Sling Studio at BSWUSA.com. We've got a bunch of different kits there. All the individual components are also there. We can put together any package you want. You just got to call Bob. Yeah, because Bob,
Hi, Bob. Bob.
That's all you need to do, and Bob will answer and take care of you. So if you have any other questions, just give us a call or hit us up on the website. But we also have another segment that I want to get to, which we always do on every podcast, because inevitably something always goes wrong. Isn't that right, Nigel?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in this segment, we'll do it real quick since nobody else really knew what went wrong except for you and me. But I'm sure it's all relatable based on what we just went through. But on last week's podcast, we had shaking cameras, which is a big problem. So, and I don't know how much of it happened today, but we actually ended up moving all the cameras to a separate table on the tables that we're not touching.
Right.
Because anything we touched on the keyboard, we're hitting sound effects and we're doing stuff and playing audio, you just get this slight jiggle.
Yeah, and the other thing is like we just moved them right back because they're our actual phones.
Yeah, yeah. So on this episode, if there's any shaking, we did the same.
Well, we
thing.
had a lot of coffee this morning. So
we did.
To be fair.
Yeah, we were shot out of a cannon. You were totally shot out of a cannon when you came in this morning. And the other problem was the autofocus, and I don't know if we're having trouble with that today.
No,
we aren't. Yeah, well, that's the phone versus.
The thing with that is. On the app, there's an actual AF lock. Mm-hmm. So you focus and then you kind of zoom, get your focus right and get your lighting right. And then once you think that's good, you just hold down on your phone screen and it locks it. So it doesn't change. So you won't see any auto-focusing trying to focus or any light or your phone, because your phone is made to adjust to the light
It
automatically.
is, and it's an auto focus and auto exposure mode that'll change as the lighting changes. But yeah, again, like I indicated earlier, a good tripod on a solid surface, that one's not shaking. The Gorilla mounts we have on the monitors are shaking.
Yeah. Well, I have to have a close up.
Yeah,
I'm the host, for the love of God.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, so we ended up moving them to a separate middle table in between our other two tables to fix that. And the other issue we ran into was trying to queue up sounds quickly, because I mean, the Rodecaster Pro, they gave you an update now, so now you've got 8 banks of 8 sounds for each bank. But still, as the app does not connect with the actual Rodecaster Pro, so you can't cycle through the app here on the computer and have it correspond to the board. You still have to physically go here and change in the menu. So, you know, stuff was happening, and I'm like, I got a sound effect for that, and I'm kind of rifling through, and then it's been 2 seconds, and now we're lamer. But so those are the things that went wrong last week. I'm sure we'll have a couple to talk about this week, but none of it was as bad as all that, because the Sling thing has just been it once it's up and running in the 10 minutes it's been a great little solution. Nigel's over there running it, and I'm assuming it looks great. I don't see what's going on.
I mean, on the iPad, it's you know, it looks like an interface. Like I say, you just take your finger and slide in the shots you want. So there's nothing even harder than that.
Yeah. I want to see that.
Well, and that's for Nigel running the production. If you're running your own podcast, you set up the camera's time per shot and then walk away. So walk me through that. How does that work? So can you do it by audio level, or is it just by time? You can do audio level.
Okay.
I would suggest, however, if you're having a guest on your show, do it by time.
Do it by time.
Yeah, if you have people talking over each other, it can run. You can make the software say, "I give up."
So you just set, every 30 seconds it'll just alternate between two cameras.
You set it up when you set your project up in the beginning and figure how many seconds you want for each camera, or you can prioritize. You can say, this is my number 1 camera, and do a percentage, whichever way you want to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Well, that should help a lot of the podcasters who, you know, even sometimes dragging your finger is too tough. So, you know, being able to set that up and then just focus on your content and not have to worry about the video whatsoever, and you know, you get your Google check.
There you go.
So, well, I appreciate you guys coming, Bob.
Pleasure.
Hey,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have you shred on guitar next time you come up here.
I was wondering if I should have brought one.
We're going to do that next time. We'll have a segment, and we'll jam, and we'll do that. So that'll be a blast. And, you know, Mike from Sling, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep, absolutely. Sling will be out on the road with BSW in 2020. So look for that. We'll have it out there so you guys can come and drag and drop your own pictures on the iPad. So we'll make sure that's happening. And Nigel, thanks for taking the crash course.
Oh no, this is fun. I enjoy it thoroughly.
I could tell. I can tell you over there enjoying it thoroughly. But check with us next week. We're going to have Jack Ewer from Sennheiser, and we're going to sit down and talk Sennheiser with Jack. We'll also be using a classic broadcast microphone of Sennheiser's that has gone away and will be coming back in a big way. We'll also be giving away some stuff. We're going to be playing a contest called What's on Brian's Desk.
That'll be fun.
That will be fun. So long story short, I get a bunch of stuff from manufacturers, like a bunch of stuff. So we'll box it all up randomly and figure out a little contest for you guys to win some stuff. And, you know, it'll range from HDMI cables to some decent headphones and maybe a broadcast microphone. So I got lots of stuff back there. So thanks everybody for coming. And Nigel, is that it?
Yeah, but except for one thing.
What's the one thing?
The credits. Here they come.